is the senior trainer here at Shamu Stadium.
She captured what it means to be a SeaWorld trainer, that it made me realize what happened to her really could have happened to anyone.
I've been expecting somebody to be killed by Tilukum.
We weren't told much about it, other than it was trainer error.
Henry, we saw an example of this in Jacques Audiard's Rust and Bone last year, but this really kind of broadens it all out into what is almost a kind of viral conspiracy that's going on.
It is, and it's one of those things that you watch a film like this and you think, of course it's not right to keep these animals, which are incredibly intelligent, in these confined spaces. Of course it's not right to pay money to go and see them and cheer at them and expect them to do the same old rope tricks over and over and over again. But it does take watching a film like this to remind you that these things are going on, and we probably should be doing something about it. It's a tad clumsily made, it's a little bit long, this, but it's really heartfelt, and it's particularly excellent on talking to the former trainers at places like SeaWorld and discovering the relationship that they think they're building with these giant animals.
Well, they're not demonised at all, are they?
They're not at all.
Many of them
no.
are motivated to stay longer despite all of their qualms because they want to protect these animals.
And she's very sincere about that relationship, but at the same time she's saying these are wild animals that you can never truly know, in the same way as something like Herzog's Grizzly Man. She's saying we constantly project our human values onto these animals and constantly think that they're happy for us to look after them in this way and be their friends. When in actual fact, they never asked to be here. It's completely unnatural for them to be here, and the effect of that is that they can have borderline psychotic outbreaks which might lead to accidents.
It's incredible how much of the action they actually film at the aqua parks, which makes that archive footage absolutely harrowing when you eventually get to see it.
It really is. When I saw Rust and Bone, I think, like a lot of people, in my naivety and absurdity, I sort of thought that was a bizarre fictional one-off created for Rust and Bone. Of course it's not. There have been many, many incidents of these things, all of them covered up, and there's a huge note of corporate complicity in this. And basically you've got these huge beasts, they're called killer whales, remember, although they don't want to kill human beings in the wild, but they certainly want to kill them now. And in a way, these aren't accidents. They have gone mad. We've driven them mad. And there is something as gripping as a thriller watching the psychosis of these whales as they slowly begin to lose it.
Peter says it's as gripping as a thriller, but you disagree. You think it's just more of a straight expose.
I think it does. It starts as a thriller about one whale in particular, Tilukum, who was taken into captivity and then caused accidents which led to the deaths of 3 different trainers. So it's almost like a portrait of a serial killer style thing for the first 45 minutes of that. And then it does drift off into open water and talks about the broader scale of things, the larger companies like SeaWorld that tend to do these practices. I mean, it is a very one-sided film. We don't get anything from the companies themselves about their working conditions.
Well, we
or
have a
animal
lot
safety.
of footage, a lot of their adverts.
We do have a lot of their adverts.
That's their public face.
In actual fact, they came out this week and said, SeaWorld disowned the film and said, this is absolute nonsense. You're not talking about any of the safety records, any of the animal treatment. But when I spoke to Gabriela Cowperthwaite, she said she went to them for a statement,
they did.
and they've never actually given one.
It's in the film. They say we approached them repeatedly and they refused to.
Yeah.
They refused to get involved.
I mean, so while you could say a good documentary would really, really try and see both sides of the story, increasingly as you watch it, you think, I'm not sure there are 2 sides. I think this is a great argument.
And also, we've heard the other side for 30 years.
40 odd years,
40 odd years that this practice has been going on.
Yeah, this romantic ideal that you can keep these wild animals.
And they love it. They're doing it because they love doing the backflips and jumping up and down and all that.
Yes, and it's a travesty. It's a travesty. But there is something horrible about it as well. I mean, it would be irresponsible of this movie just to make it like the portrait of a serial killer. And yet it is like that because it is a way in which psychosis and dysfunction has been bred and designed into all these creatures. I mean, the whale Tilukum, the key offender, has been bred for whales which are highly likely to have the same predispositions and kept in similar conditions all over the world. So it is a kind of global nightmare. I found it totally gripping.
When Tilukum arrived at SeaWorld, he was attacked viciously, repeatedly by Katina and others. In the wild, it's a very matriarchal society. Male whales are kept at the perimeter. In captivity, the animals are squeezed into very close proximity. Tilukum, the poor guy is so large, he couldn't get away because he just is not as mobile relative to the smaller and more agile females. And where was he going to run? There's no place to run.
I think he spent a lot of time in isolation. SeaWorld claims that, oh no, he's always in with the females, but I mean, from what I saw, he was mostly put with the females for breeding purposes, and he didn't spend a lot of time with the other whales.
It's for his own protection. He gets beat up, and so by segregating him, it provides a physical barrier so the females can't kick his butt.
To fear and anxiety and pain.
They seem so together now.
The world is problematic, for him. And I think that, we can imagine it all.
Mr. Grew, Agent Lucy Wilde of the
I could pretty much excel at whatever I want.